So law of sines, we're going to be dealing with these first two today. All right, the second one I call donkeys. All right, so law of sines is basically an extended proportion. Is equal to side B over sine of angle B, which is equal to side C over sine of angle C. And depending on what you want to solve for, I'd always suggest putting that thing up in the top left of whatever you want to solve for. So if you're solving for a side, use this one. But you can reciprocate it as well. For instance, if you were trying to solve for an angle, put the angle up top. So you have sine of angle A over side A, which is equal to sine of angle B over side B, which is equal to sine of angle C over side C. Depending on what you want to solve for, it's always smart to put that up top. Now, do you necessarily have to do it this way? You don't have to. It's just going to make your life a little easier. All right? And if you'd like to, you can look at the proof right down here of how it's actually proved. It deals with opposite over hypotenuse, just like what we've done before to make that extended proportion. All right? This one has a nice picture drawn for us. It tells us that angle C is 102 degrees, angle B is 29 degrees, and side B is 28. We need to find the remaining angles and sides. All right. There are two things that we could solve for right now. Which two things could we solve for? The missing angle. Okay. Do you want to find that one first? Yes. Yeah, let's find that one first. All right. What do all angles in a triangle add up to? 180 degrees. So if we subtract 102 and we subtract 29 from 180 degrees, what do we get? 49 degrees. All right, so angle A is 49 degrees. From there, we can either solve for side A or side C. Which one do you want to do first? Doesn't matter to me. Let's solve for side A. All right, so I'm going to start this extended proportion. I'm going to put side A up top over sine of its corresponding, and it corresponds with angle 49. And so then it's equal to, which one do we actually have? So 28 over sine of 29 degrees. And if you did that perfectly on that proportion, if you put what you want to solve for in that top left, all you have to do is one multiplication. So what do we multiply by? Sine of 49 degrees. So when we multiply by that, it goes away, and now we put that into our handy-dandy calculator. So what do we get? 43.580. Good. All right. All right, so again, on the sides, we're going to round to 4 just like normal. All right, so now we can solve for side C. All right, so I'm going to put C up top over sine of what? 102. All right, is equal to, now, it doesn't really matter which one we use now. All right, but I would suggest using the one with less numbers or less decimals. All right, so I'm going to put it 28 over sine of 29 degrees. And so all we have to do is multiply by sine of 102. And then we type it in our handy-dandy calculator. All right, good. All right.
A pole tilts toward the sun at an 8-degree angle from the vertical, and it casts a 22-foot shadow. The angle of the elevation from the tip of the shadow to the top of the pole is 43 degrees. How tall is the pole?
All right, fantastic. All right, so it's kind of given our picture here. Okay, so eventually we need to solve for side A. That's what we're trying to solve for. Well, if I'm trying to solve for this side, I do have my corresponding angle of 43 degrees. I do have this shadow is 22 degrees, so I need this corresponding angle. So we need to solve for that angle. Well, what is the angle for C? Do we know yet? We don't know yet, do we? All right, so what could we do? What's this angle here? 98 degrees. All right. All right, what's angle C? 39 degrees. All right. So, help me set up my proportion. All right, so I'm going to put A over what? Sine of 43 degrees, which is equal to what? 22 over sine of 39 degrees. All right, very good. And so all we have to do is do what? Multiply by sine of 43. So we multiply by sine of 43 degrees. And so A would equal 8415. All right, fantastic. All right, pretty good. All right. Wow, this is like I said before. Remember in geometry when we couldn't prove congruent triangles with angle side side? Remember that? And you were probably just like, okay, whatever. All right. This is called an ambiguous case, which means when you have an angle side side, it's not very well behaved. There's a lot of things that can happen on an angle side side. And the one that we're really going to be concerned about is when it has two triangles that's made. All right, and what I mean by that is when we have two triangles going on, we have to have an acute measure. First of all, it has to be an acute measure. What does acute mean? It's pretty. What does acute mean? It's in between 0 and 90 degrees. All right, it has to be an acute measure. And the inequality that has to happen is the height has to be less than the opposite side, which is less than the the adjacent side. That's what it's called. All right. So that's what needs to happen. Now, I'm not going to have you memorize this inequality. I'm really not. Okay. When I'm going to give you one on the test, when I'm giving you one of these on the test, I'm going to put a little donkey figurine next to it, which means how many triangles is it going to have? It's going to have 2. All right. And so I'm going to teach you the techniques of how to do the ambiguous case, but I'm not going to necessarily say you got to check all of them. Okay. Side of 22, a side of 12, an angle of 42 degrees. Now this triangle is drawn for us very nicely. We just need to find the remaining sides and angles. What do I have to solve for first? What do I have to solve for first? What?
The angle B?
The angle B. I have to solve for angle B. Okay? Because those are the ones that correspond. I have no information on C's right now. Are you following me? And so I have to solve for angle B. And so I'm going to put sine of B up top. Remember how I said I could reciprocate that extended proportion? This is going to make your life easier if you put that thing up top. And then what goes under it? Sine of B over, what corresponds with it? 12. Is equal to sine of 42 over 22. All right? Make sure that you don't put signs on opposite ends or diagonals of it. All right? Because you have to keep the proportions similar. So now what do we need to do? This is kind of 2 steps now. We multiply by 12. You multiply by 12 just like before. All right? And then what's the inverse operation to get to angle B? What? We arc sine it. Exactly. All right, so we arc sine that whole statement. So angle B is actually equal to the arc sine of 12, sine of 42 over 22. And you can put all of that straight into your calculator. All right, so angle B is equal to 21.41 degrees. All right. So now that I have that angle B is 21.41 degrees, what could we solve for? Angle C. We can ask for a third angle. So we subtract both of them from 180. Good. All right. So what is our angle C? 116.59 degrees. Good. All right. So now that I have that, I can now solve for side C. Now I can solve for side C. All right. Evan, set up my proportion for me.
It'd be C over sine of C is equal to...
Okay, sine of C, which is?
116.59.
Good. All right. Which is equal to?
A over...
Okay, what is A?
22 over sine of 42.
Good. All right. Good. All right. So now all we have to do is multiply by the sine of 116.59 degrees. All right. And so now I just put that into our calculator.
29.401.
10. All right. Good. All right. Pretty good. All right. 15 side B is 25, and angle A is 85 degrees. All right. Now, is the picture drawn? No. So let's draw our picture. Now, if you remember from other pictures, they always put angle B or angle A there, angle B there, angle C there. It doesn't really matter. However, I would just be consistent in how you draw them. Okay? Doesn't really matter much, but just be consistent. So it gives me side A, and so side A is 15, which needs to be opposite of angle A. So 15 has to be there. And then it gives me side B, which is 25, so it goes opposite of angle B, which is there. And then it gives me angle A, which is 85. Well, that goes there. Does that make sense how I drew that triangle? All right. So just be consistent with however you draw them, and put the stuff in their place. What do we have to solve for? We have to solve for angle B. There's no other one that we can do. All right. So we're going to solve for that angle. So let's set up our proportion. So now I'd have sine of B over 25, which is equal to sine of 85 over 15. All right, now we're going to do this in two steps. We multiply by 25, and then what? We arc sine it. So we arc sine 25 sine of 85 over 15. What happened, Jillian? Air. You must have done it wrong. Just kidding. No, you didn't. All right. It said air. Okay. And this is what happened. This is why it said air. You didn't do it wrong. If I have 25 sine of 85 over 15, that's actually equivalent to about 1.66. If I arc sine 1.66, is it possible? What does it mean to be arc sine? When sine is that. Is sine ever going to be 1.66? No. Why? Why is that not going to happen? Not 0 to 1, but the range has to be from -1 to 1. All right? It's over 1. It can't actually happen. All right? So we actually have no solution on this one. No solution. All right? So we have no solution on that triangle.
No.
And the reason being is 85 degrees is fairly close to vertical. Does everybody agree with that? Okay. And if we have side of 25 right here, well, 15, is it ever going to touch the ground? No. Never going to touch. No, it's never going to form a triangle that way. All right. And so that's really what happened. Okay. Here's the math that proves it, but this is really what's happening. Okay. It's going to dangle. It's not going to get there. All right. So we have no solution going. The donkey. I will give you one of these on your test. I'll have a little donkey next to it, I promise. All right. So this is going to be two cases or two triangles. Did it give us a picture? No. Let's draw a picture. All right. So draw a picture just like your normal one. So we got A going on, we got B, we got C. So it gives me side A is 12. So we're going to put 12 right there. Side B is 31, so 31 goes right there. And angle 20.5. All right. Now, just like before, let's do this one. What can we do? We have to solve for what? We have to solve for angle B. So let's do it. So I would have what? What would be my extended proportion? Sine of B over 31, which is equal to sine of 20.5 over 12. And all I have to do is multiply by 31. And then we would arc sine it. All right, go ahead and do that. 64.78. All right, 8 degrees. All right. So now that I have angle B, what could we solve for? Angle C. And so we add them up, we subtract from 180, and we get angle C would be 94.72 degrees. Good. All right. So now that we have that, what could we solve for? Side C. All right. So let's set up that proportion. We would have side C over sine of 94.72 degrees, which is equal to, which one we want? So what goes up top? 12 over sine of 20.5. All right. So now one step, we multiply by sine of 94.72.
34.1492.
1492?
Yes.
All right, fantastic. All right. So that one is just like before, true? All right. So now we're going to actually do the ambiguous case, or what I call the donkey. All right. So we did that one just like before, and that one's perfect. All right, but that's actually half credit. The other one, instead of this angle B being this acute measure of 64, it's going to be an obtuse measure. That's really what's going to happen, is what forms our two triangles. All right. And so this is still 20.5. This is still 12, and this is still 31. That didn't change. All right. What's going to change is all the other ones. All right. And the way to do that is when I have this acute measure, of angle B is 64.78, we need to get the obtuse measure. And the way to do that is we find its supplement. And what does it mean to be its supplement? Not 90, but 180. All right. So we actually take 180 and we subtract what we actually ended up getting for angle B. So we subtract 64.78. We actually found its supplement to it. All right. So 180 minus 64.78 is actually 115.22 degrees. So my new angle B is 115.22 degrees. All right, that's really the only step that's different. All right. So again, what did we do? Once we found this angle B, what happened? You find its supplement for your other triangle. All right. So we have that is 115.22. Let's find our new angle C. So we take both of them and we subtract from 180. And what do we get for our new angle C? .28 degrees. All right. All right, so now that we have a new angle C, now we need to solve for a new side C. All right. So now we would have C over sine of 44.28. And now we do our proportion just like before, is equal to, we can say 12 over sine of 20.5. And so I can do this in one shot. We multiply by sine of 44.28. All right. And so once we multiply there, we end up getting our new side C would end up being 9229. All right. Pretty good. Check this out. On Canvas, there's a worksheet 6.1a or 6.1a worksheet. All right. Here's what I did.